Good morning everyone, and welcome to a breezy Sunday morning with sunshine. The goal today is to take pictures with telephoto lens of birds. So we're trying something new today, and of course because it's Zurich and Sunday morning we have airplanes, hopefully not messing up the sound too much. But let me tell you a little bit about the lens I purchased. So as you might know, I have a Canon AE-1 and I bought a 400mm lens specifically for a video project that is soon to come, but I have to test it out to get a little bit familiar with the focal length and how to focus. Because it's an FD lens, it's only manual focus. There's no autofocus helping me, and I have to get used to how to focus with that 400mm lens. Yes, but I think with the 400mm lens, bird photography is something I always wanted to try, and especially with that focal length. Let's see how it's gonna work out. All right, let's show you the camera and the setup. So because it's a 400mm lens, I need a fairly high ISO speed film. So it's this guy here. It's a very cool system to take out the lens hood. It's just pop it out that way. Because it's a 400mm lens, I need a fairly fast film, because I want to shoot it at 500 of a second just to get a little bit of the shake out of the long focal length. And also it has a tripod mount, so I'm using my tripod today as a monopod. So brought a roll of Kodak Portra 800 with me. There it is. Must say I'm pretty excited to shoot bird photography this morning, especially since I usually don't do that often. It's gonna be an interesting experience. All right, there it goes. So I brought my tripod with me. It's my trusty Peak Design tripod. Let's go find some birds. So I found two birds on the lake. I'm gonna show you my setup in a second, but hopefully get some shots out of here. I'm switching to POV mode in a second. So you probably won't see the bird. Switching to POV mode. Take a shot of the duck right in front of us. Alright guys, one thing I forgot to mention is that this lake is also a nature preservation area, so that's why there are so many birds here, and that's why I'm choosing this location here. Right, let me just show you. So I changed position right now. Just gonna switch to the other side. Sorry for the airplane noise, but I'm trying to get a little bit closer to the birds who are in front of us. Let's see how close I can get. Now he's popping out his head. You can get closer. All right, so we just took a shot. Let's see if we can get even closer than that. All right. The bird just landed there. I'm trying to get a good shot of him. He's just a tad too far away, even for the 400mm lens. So we're changing locations right now. I'm trying to find a good spot here at the lake, but the later it gets, the more people. Maybe get the sun behind me. So I don't have much luck today. The sun just went behind the clouds. But I tried to capture this bird right here. One thing I just realized, I have to set up the tripod almost every time because it's really shaky at 400mm. I think that's the price of having such a long lens. But on the bright side, one of the main benefits of using an older camera system with no autofocus, these lenses are dirt cheap. Okay, I just now realized that it's a little bit too late in the day. There are more and more people, so I can't really find any suitable subjects. We film this another day. With the magic of editing, you're gonna see we are in a different place, on a different day. Go. Good morning everyone. I got some new friends here. I'm almost here at the bird sanctuary, but just saw these guys here and thought I'm trying to take some pictures. But unfortunately I only have a long lens, but these guys here are perfect company. So let's try to take some pictures with them. We are at a bird sanctuary and we found this Highland cows here, but unfortunately with the 400mm lens, they're a bit too close for me to take some pictures. I want to try to circle around and take pictures from them when they're sunlit. Let's go. Alright guys, so I think I took a couple of shots of the cows here, but we get on a bike and get on top of the bird watcher now. Alright, so I'm just done with my roll of Portra 800 and let's say it's just a mixed bag of things that I learned. I wanted to prepare myself for some sports photography that is soon coming up, and in order to train for that I picked bird photography because for one it's perfect with that 400mm lens. Here are a couple of thoughts of me after using it after one roll. Let's just say it took me 3 attempts to fill the roll of film because my god, this was a really hard experience for me, and I have my biggest respect for everyone who's doing bird photography because first of all it's really hard to find good subject or good birds. I thought I knew where birds are located, but first of all you have to find them, and second of all they get easily scared away, so you have to sneak up on them or wait for a little while until birds don't notice you and just fly in. So the first day I went out on a tiny lake near Zurich, and because it's a nature preservation area I thought there were usually a lot of birds there. I captured some ducks. There are not a lot of big birds around. You see a lot of the small birds that are flying so quickly that it's really hard to focus on them, especially if it's a manual focus lens. I have yet to see the developed images, but even with 800 ISO film, I was always on the limit with the aperture. It goes down all the way to 5.6, and especially for the time of day I want to capture the birds, like early in the morning, 800 ISO gets you nowhere near the fast shutter speed you need to capture fast moving birds. So that's a general rule of your shutter speed should at least match your focal length. So with a 400mm lens you should go for at least 400 of a second, and on my Canon AE-1 the closest for that is 500 of a second. Handheld is really hard, so most of the time you put the camera on the lens on the tripod. You're not as agile as on other topics of photography. My second issue with that was that you can't get really close to the birds. Even with a 400mm lens, because it's a nature preservation area, it's fenced off. So then I had to take a break because the weather was cloudy for a couple of weeks, and as I said, even on sunny conditions in the morning, 800 ISO, you're really limited with your shutter speed. So again I waited for a couple of weeks until it was clear sky like today, and I went to another nature preservation area a little bit farther away from me. I took the bike really early in the morning and I took some pictures of this thing, it's water buffaloes. I spent some time there taking some pictures of them, and then made my way to dedicated lookout post where you can go up. When I arrived there were already 2 other bird photographers waiting there to take the pictures, and they had all these fancy cameras, these sports cameras with 20 frames per second and 800mm lens, so I felt a little bit under-equipped with that. I vividly remember is I saw a bird of prey coming into the scene and started shooting, and you hear that machine gun rattling of the camera. At the end you just could hear my tiny AE-1 sound with one shutter sound make that noise, and they just turned around and smiled at me. I stayed for a while with them, and because they knew where the birds are, it was a big advantage. Just followed them to try to take a picture, but again they had like 600 to 800mm lenses, so the subject were much closer to that with my 400mm lens, and since I didn't have burst fire on my Canon AE-1 and with manual focusing ring, I did the best I could, to be honest. Which brings me to another point of bird bird photography, which is be patiently waiting for things to happen. Again, you have to know where the birds are, you have to set up, and then you have just to wait for the action. And with bird photography is another way of anticipation where you know where you have to set up and we just wait for the right moment. I then found some storks on their nests. Because they were breeding and sitting on the top of the nest, it was easy for me to set up the tripod, wait for the right moment, wait for their heads to turn the right way, and then snap the picture. Which brings me to today. So I had a couple of frames left. I didn't want to go to another nature preservation area, so I just wandered around the neighborhood. I'm just going to show you all the images. And what are my takeaways from this experience? As I said, this lens is manual focus. Looking through the viewfinder of the Canon AE-1, it was really hard to nail the focus, especially on fast-moving subjects. Going forwards or looking ahead to the sports photography, definitely one of the issues I probably will encounter, that I will most likely miss focus with that lens. 4mm lens, great lens, but I will have to somehow zone focus on certain areas to get the shots. Another takeaway is that, as far as I know of, 800 speed film is the highest color speed film there is. I could push Portra 800 to 1600 probably, but I definitely want to pick up some higher ISO film, especially Ilford Delta 3200, and see if 3200 ISO is better suited for this focal length. I'm sorry if this video feels more unstructured. The entire process of making this video was an unstructured process. So yeah, key takeaways is probably gonna miss focus, which I'm fine with, and getting a higher ISO film, great. So see you guys in the next video.